Savate, also known as boxe française, French boxing, French kickboxing or French footfighting, is a traditional French martial art which uses the hands and feet as weapons, combining elements of Western boxing with graceful kicking techniques. Only foot kicks are allowed, unlike some systems such as muay thai and silat, which allow the use of the knees or shins. Savate is a French word for old shoe. Savate is perhaps the only style of kickboxing in which the fighters habitually wear shoes. A male practitioner of Savate is called a savateur, while a female is called a savateuse, or tireuse. Early history: Savate takes its name from the French for old boot. The modern formalized form is mainly an amalgam of French street fighting techniques from the beginning of the 19th century. There are also many types of Savate rules. Savate was then a type of street fighting common in Paris and northern France. In the south, especially in the port of Marseille, sailors developed a fighting style involving high kicks and open-handed slaps. It is conjectured that this kicking style was developed in this way to allow the fighter to use a hand to hold on to something for balance on a rocking ship's deck, and that the kicks and slaps were used on land to avoid the legal penalties for using the closed fist, which was considered a deadly weapon under the law. It was known as jeu marseillais, and was later renamed chausson. In contrast, at this time in England, kicking was seen as unsportsmanlike. Traditional savate or chausson was at this time also developed in the ports of northwest Italy and northeastern Spain. The two key historical figures in the history of the shift from street fighting to the modern sport of savate are Michel Cassai, 1794–1869, a French pharmacist, and Charles Licouer. Cassai opened the first establishment in 1825 for practicing and promoting a regulated version of chausson and savate. However, the sport had not shaken its reputation as a street fighting technique. Cassai's pupil Charles Licouer was exposed to the English art of boxing when he witnessed an English boxing match in France between English pugilist Owen Swift and Jack Adams in 1838. He also took part in a friendly sparring match with Swift later in that same year. Licouer felt that he was at a disadvantage, only using his hands to bat his opponent's fists away, rather than to punch. He then trained in boxing for a time before combining boxing with chausson and savate to create the sport of savate. At some point la canne and la baton stick fighting were added, and some form of stick fencing, such as la canne, is commonly part of savate training. Those who train purely for competition may omit this. Savate was developed professionally by Licouer's student Joseph Chalemont and then his son Charles Chalemont. Charles continued his father's work and fought in 1899 an English boxer named Jerry Driscoll. He won the match with a fouette copyright mar copyright Dn in the 8th round, although the English said that it was a kick to the groin. According to the well-known English referee, Bernard John Angle of the National Sporting Club, in his book My Sporting Memories London, 1925, Driscoll did not know what he was taking on, when he agreed to meet the Frenchman at his own game. Angle also said that, the contest ended in Jerry being counted out to a blow in the groin from the Frenchman's knee. He further alleged that the timekeeper saved Chalemont several times. After the fight, Driscoll bore no grudges, considering the blow to have been an accident. The French, of course, claimed victory to their man by stoppage, following a round kick to Driscoll's stomach. Savate was later codified under a committee national de boxe française under Charles Chalemont's student Count Pierre Baruzzi. The Count is seen as the father of modern savate and was 11-time champion of France and its colonies, his first ring combat and title prior to World War I. Savate de défense, defense savate, savate de roue is the name given to those methods of fighting excluded from savate competition. The FIS is the official world federation. Perhaps the ultimate recognition of the respectability of savate came in 1924 when it was included as a demonstration sport in the Olympic Games in Paris. In 2008, savate was recognized by the International University Sports Federation. This recognition allows savate to hold official university world championships. The first was held in Nantes, France in 2010. The 25th anniversary of the founding of the International Savate Federation, in March 2010, was celebrated with a visit to Lausanne, to meet with IOC President Jacques Rogge. FIS President Gilles Laduga was presented with a memento depicting the Olympic rings. In April 2010, the International Savate Federation was accepted as a member of Sport Accord, a big step forward on the road to Olympic recognition. Modern history: despite its roots, Savate is a relatively safe sport to learn. According to USA Savate, Savate ranks lower in number of injuries than American football, ice hockey, football, gymnastics, basketball, baseball, and inline skating. Today, Savate is practiced all over the world by amateurs, from Australia to the USA and from Finland to Britain. Many countries have national federations devoted to promoting Savate. Modern codified Savate provides for 3 levels of competition: assault, pre-combat and combat. Assault requires the competitors to focus on their technique while still making contact. Referees assign penalties for the use of excessive force. Pre-combat allows for full-strength fighting so long as the fighters wear protective gear such as helmets and shin guards. Combat, the most intense level, is the same as pre-combat, but protective gear other than groin protection and mouth guards is prohibited. Many martial arts provide ranking systems, such as belt colors. Savate uses glove colors to indicate a fighter's level of proficiency. Novices begin at no color. Depending on the association or commission that one belongs to, a savateur can compete. In the French Federation a yellow glove can compete, in Belgium a green glove can compete, in the United States, Savate the competition levels start at novice and in Russia with no gloves. The ranking of Savate, boxe française is divided into 3 roads that a savateur can choose to take. Technical road: blue glove, green glove, red glove, white glove, yellow glove, silver glove I, silver glove 2 and silver glove 3, competition road: bronze glove, silver glove I, silver glove 2, silver glove 3, silver glove 4 and silver glove E. Teaching ranks: initiateur, aide monitor, monitor and professeur. In some clubs there is no rank of aide monitor, while in other associations there is no rank of initiateur. 8 to 12 years of training on average are necessary for a student to reach professor level. 8 years in the Italian Federation, and just 2 years in other federations. In France the professional professor must have a French state certificate of specialized teaching. These diplomas are university-level education in sports with specialization in Savate. The International Federation, however, is still allowed to award professor instructorship to non-French nationals without requiring such rigid system of education. French nationals have to submit and succeed to the rigid system of education and prove themselves in competition as well as being respected by peers, in order to have a slight chance to become a DTD. Like any sport federations in France, the French and International Federation of Savate are under the control of France Ministry of Sport and Youth. This makes these 2 federations extremely powerful federations on the world scene. These 2 federations have follow a set of national traditions. Nowadays, Savate is just a term meaning Savate boxe française. In the 1970s the term Savate was rarely used in France to refer to the formalized sport. People mostly used the term Savate boxe française, boxe française Savate, BF, BFS, SBF, or simply boxe française. The term Savate remains in use mostly outside France or when speaking a language other than French. The global distribution of schools today is best explained through their stylistic approaches. La Savate boxe française, the technical abilities of both Savate's major kicking arsenal and English boxing were merged into a definitive sport of combat. La Savate d'art upright fence was first presented by Professor Pierre Change, then produced into self-defense by Eric Huquet in 2000. After the French Federation dismantled Professor Change and placed Michel Leroux in charge of the formations. It is based on La boxe française Savate, La Savate of the late 19th century. La lutte parisienne in the discipline of la can de combat includes also la barre senton française, la couteau, la poignade, la chaise and la manteau. Reconstructed historical Savate. Some Savate has been reconstructed from old textbooks, such as those written in the late 19th or early 20th century. As such, this form of savate would be considered a historical European martial art. Reconstruction of these older systems may or may not be performed by practitioners familiar with the modern sport and is not at present likely to be particularly widespread. La Savate form, cardio kickboxing form of la boxe française Savate. These are the different stylistic approaches of the French arts of pugilism in the world today. Dress. In official competitions, competitors wear a coverall suit called into copyright grail or a tank top and a savate trouser. They wear boxing gloves and savate boots. Savate is the only kicking and punching style to use footwear, although some other combat sports, such as shoot fighting and some forms of MMA sometimes also wear grappling-type shoes boots. Savate boots can be used to hit with the sole, the top of the foot, the toe, or the heel. Sometimes a helmet can be worn, for example in junior competitions and in the early rounds of combat bouts. Techniques. In competitive or competition savate, which includes assault, pre-combat, and combat types, there are only 4 kinds of kicks allowed along with 4 kinds of punches allowed: kicks, fouette copyright, high, medium or low, casse copyright or front piston action kick, high, medium or low, reverse, frontal or lateral making contact with the sole of the shoe, high, medium, or low, coup de pied bas low only, punches, direct bras avant, direct bras arrière, crochet, uppercut. Savate did not begin as a sport, but as a form of self-defense and fought on the streets of Paris and Marseille. This type of savate was known as savate de rue. In addition to kicks and punches, training in savate de rue includes knee and elbow strikes along with locks, sweeps, throws, headbutts, and takedowns. In popular culture, savate was also featured in the first Ultimate Fighting Championship tournament, where Dutch savate champion Gerard Gordia beat a sumo wrestler and an American kickboxer. The British The King of Fighters character, Bun Jennett, uses a technique similar to savate, called LK arts. Also, some savate moves are used by other female characters like Elizabeth Blanktook. The Marvel Comics villain Batroc the Leaper uses savate as his signature fighting style. A version of the character appeared in the film Captain America, The Winter Soldier, portrayed by Canadian MMA fighter Georges St-Pierre. In The Adventures of Tintin comic Flight 714, Professor Calculus mentions being an old savate performer. Savate is used by the main character in the Belle Époque-based 2004 feature film Arsène Lupin and the Tiger Brigades. In Ben 10, Alien Force, Ben mentioned and performed a savate move when he and Gwen were practicing on the punching bag. Savate was also the martial arts style of the French antagonists and police officers in the 2001 Jet Li film Kiss of the Dragon. In the X-Men series, the mutant Gambit incorporates savate into his basic fighting style and is shown to be extremely proficient in it. Savate was featured on the TV show Human Weapon, in Episode 4. The hosts, Bill Duff and Jason Chambers, traveled to France and met Gilles Ledoux to learn basic techniques of savate. After practicing the techniques they had learned, they then used the moves against the instructor. Savate was featured on the TV show Fight Quest, in Episode 6 of Season 1. The hosts, Jimmy Smith and Doug Anderson, traveled to France and discovered this fighting style under the supervision of Christian Robert, Frank May, Frederick Barrett, Laurent Boys and Patrick Gelat. Savate was mentioned in Robert Heinlein's book Starship Troopers. Captain Frankel and Sergeant Zim were said to be very proficient in it, and this style was part of the training curriculum during basic training at Camp Arthur Curry. In the 1995 film Savate, Olivier Gruner plays a savate expert French officer, who wanders into Texas to get revenge of his friend. In the manga and anime One Piece, one of the main protagonists, Blackleg Sanji, uses kicking techniques very similar to savate. Remy from Street Fighter III, Third Strike uses savate as his fighting style. In the manga Midaka Box, one of the main protagonists Hitoyoshi Zankichi uses savate as his general fighting style after being taught by his mother. In the film The Matrix, savate is mentioned as one of the fighting styles programmed into Neo. In Meredith Duran's novel Wicked Becomes You, the hero practices a form of savate. Dick Grayson, the original Robin, was a master of Savate and other forms of martial arts. In Children of Paradise, the mime Baptiste uses Savate to defend himself against the thug Avril. Batman is a master and practitioner of Savate. The Punisher's arch-rival in the Punisher War Journal storyline includes a French and Spanish mercenary by the name of Tarantula. Vega's martial arts skills include Savate along with ninjutsu and bullfighting. Savate makes a brief appearance in the Portuguese film Taboo, in which the son of the owner of a house in which Mario's band play has learned boxe française. There is one scene in which he is seen practicing it in the grounds of the house. In Les Brigades du Tigre, the protagonists practice French boxing. In Dans les Cordes, Joseph owns a club of Savate and we see a French boxing championship. See also, La Canne and Bar Saint-Ton française, two related martial arts which use a walking stick and a quarterstaff, respectively. Description de la Savate à partir de ses formes techniques de base par amoureux. De copyright français illustration de la boxe française. Savate, Cannes, Chausson, Bernard Placide, 1972, Paris, CEDAP, L'art de la Savate, Michel Cassai. Thar copyright Origay pratique de la boxe française, Joseph Chalemond, 1878. La boxe française, historique biographique, souvenirs, notes, impressions, anecdotes, Joseph Chalemond, 1899. References. External links. Official website of the FAR Copyright DAO Copyright Ration International de Savate. Official website of the FAR Copyright DAO Copyright Ration International de Savate. Official website of the FAR Copyright DAO Copyright Ration française de Savate boxe française ADAR. Official website of the Fédération Russie de Savate boxe française, Techniques of Savate.